13th to order. Looking for a motion to adopt the agenda. Councillor Nixon, Councillor Orlando. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Need a motion to adopt the minutes of the special budget public consultation minutes of February 20th. Councillor Brothers, Councillor English. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And I need a motion to adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting of February 27th. Councillor Brothers, Councillor English. All those in favor? Motion is carried. First item is a 5A, which is development services. Myself, as the proponent, is a tenant of mine, have declared a conflict of interest in the past. I'll be recusing myself, as well as Councillor Orlando.
Yeah, as well, due to past business relationship with the applicant.
So I'd like to hand over the chair to Councillor Nixon. And I'll take my coffee and go outside.
Item 5A, just who would like to bring this forward?
Yeah, I'll be happy to bring that forward, thank you. That development permit DP 2017-16 be approved for issuance.
Seconder, Councillor English. Any discussion on this? We don't have a presentation on this, do we?
I was prepared for one.
Okay. Okay.
Because this is in hearing,
Okay.
we should probably have.
Do we have the book? Should I be reading?
It's an informal public hearing,
Okay.
but we should also allow for the developer to do that.
Okay.
Anyone else interested?
Anybody else?
And call 3 times?
No.
Okay. Thanks for that briefing. Okay, go ahead. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This application is a development permit for a 3-story infill development located at 306 First Street West. Find a site plan, maybe a diagram regarding, there's an okay one. Embedded within this development permit is a variance for parking and loading bays. The proposed variance is to reduce the minimum required loading bay from 1 to 0 and the minimum required off-street parking stalls from 11 to 5. Council may remember at the February 13th council meeting, council resolved to support the development permit and direct staff to issue notification for the parking variances embedded within this permit. The application is back in front of council in order to consider the variance portion of the application in accordance with the Local Government Act and the city's Development Procedures Bylaw. Council may recall from the February 13th presentation a discussion regarding the impacts of parking downtown and the options for the applicant to secure parking in accordance with the city zoning bylaw and fees and charges bylaw. The development permit design shown here and supported by council provides 2 off-site parking stalls on site at the rear. That can be seen. Oh, we might be out of batteries. Oh, there's my thing. Right at the rear here. Staff are supportive of varying the loading bay requirement from 1 to 0 as there's lane access, obviously, to which the property can be provided with temporary delivery, loading and unloading. As discussed in the February 13th report, attached to today's report, staff are supportive of varying the parking from 11 to 5 stalls, but not to only 2 stalls. The variance from 11 to 5 stalls is intended to support infill reconstruction of the property. Staff have justified the variance to 5 by removing the parking requirements for the first story of the building. So what this does is the zoning bylaw exempts pre-existing buildings from current parking requirements. So if there was a 1-story building standing there today, only 5 stalls would be required for the second and third half story of this proposal. So with 2 stalls provided on the site, and a proposed variance down to 5. That leaves the development short 3 stalls, which under the zoning bylaw can be provided either through securing parking on neighboring properties within 300 meters, or by paying into the city's parking cash in lieu account at the fee prescribed by the fees and charges bylaw, which is currently at $20,000 per stall. The developer can provide the 3 stalls in any combination of the 2, so say 1 on the neighbor, 2 in lieu, or vice versa, or all 3, either way. The $20,000 per stall fee is prescribed in the city's fees and charges bylaw. It represents the estimated actual construction costs of providing additional parking, which includes land costs, drainage infrastructure, gravel road base, asphalt, and labor. The fee, as it's prescribed in the fees and charges bylaw, cannot be waived or varied. It could only be amended by council in a permanent fashion, undergoing the regular bylaw amendment process as per the community charter. Staff have received 2 written submissions by neighboring landowners, which council received late on their agenda today. Both listed parking as concerns, but we're overall supportive of the proposal. If you've got any questions regarding those, I can be available to answer specific questions. And that's about it.
Thank you, Mr. Whitehead. Any questions, councillors? Any discussion? And you would like to speak, sir?
If I can.
Step up to the podium and give us your name and address.
Hi everybody, my name is Lim Bedoya. I'm one of the owners of Antrim and the lot and this one of the heads of these projects. My wife, she couldn't be here today. But the main thing for us that we, by all the bylaws and how it was set up before, was basically that we feel that we're having a rough start because we feel that equity, that balance thing of all the other businesses that are already set up, they didn't have to go through these kind of hoops because their buildings were already there. So we had the approach of just buying something that was already pre-existing and built, and that wasn't going to have any of those issues. But having that in mind, just that 20 per stall for those 3 feels excessive a little bit in our side, knowing that in 2007 it used to be just 2,500. We, as I mentioned in the previous one, it's not that we're just wanting to have a free ride here and everybody looks aside and oh, these guys can do it. It's just that we feel that it's a little bit too much. And regarding one of the comments from the councillor Scott Duke, that is adding that we should have seen these as adding value to our property. Well, I kind of have an idea what we do for a living besides this part. And you should know that this is not going to be added to when we try to let's say in 20 years oh, you know what, I'm going to sell these for more because of this. So that's something that I understand your point, but I didn't share it. And yeah, basically that's it. I think that we have been measured with a different stick that everybody else has been through in the past. Yeah, and as the consultation that it was going to be sent to all the neighbors, none of them replied saying that they were concerned with parking issues or with something going against what they are operating around. And actually, as the shop where we all the people that just come day to day to the shop, the main thing is I wish I could record or even bring a bunch of our customers that say oh, you know what, this is amazing, thanks kind of for doing that. Even the same neighbor is just kind of, oh, somebody had to kind of do that. But so everybody kind of in the room knows we're working with a limited budget, and if it can be worked out on a slightly better way, we're going to have to pull back from the whole thing. Even that requiring us even losing money and trying to get rid of doing things alternatives. for it. So, yeah, that's basically the whole thing. Thank you.
Councilors, any questions for these gentlemen?
There's no discussion yet, or?
Yeah. Councilor Brothers, go ahead.
I don't have any questions, I just
Okay.
want to discuss the matter.
Go ahead.
Again, this is one of these difficult ones. We make policy because of the good of the whole city. And we have to do that in order to make sure that we provide for parking and do what needs to be done. If a person develops and builds a house, if you want to take it from simplistic, they have to have parking. They have to have a garage or parking or a driveway or something where they can put their cars. And this is no different, I find. I think the city has done its best to try and minimize the downside to it for the proponent. It's difficult for the proponent. I really understand that, and I feel for the proponent, but we really, I think, as a city, have to look at why we have these policies and for the good of the city. I understand that there may be as many as 20 people working in this building, which causes incredible parking issues for the city that if the proponent doesn't provide for it somehow, we as a city have to provide for it. I take heed of the letter that was sent by Mr. Cooper, the plaza next door, where they're saying they're starting to have difficulty with parking. And what's happening is because we don't have enough parking in the city, their parking lot is being used by everyone. And they say, well, we're paying for this parking, we're maintaining this parking, and the city has to take responsibility for making sure that everybody pays their fair share. I understand that, there should have been 11 parking stalls. My personal feeling is that we should look at the $20,000 fee for parking. I believe it's on the high side, and eventually I think we should take a look at that. But under the circumstances, there were supposed to be 11 parking stalls. We're now down to 5, of which the proponent has to provide 3. So if you're looking at 5 parking stalls for $60,000, we're down to a cost per parking stall of what, $5,000 or $6,000, and that's a lot less than the $20,000 that was there. So I think the city has done their best to try and accommodate and see the difficulties for the proponent. And so I'm going to support the motion.
Councilors, any other questions or discussion? Anybody else in the public that feels they are impacted by this that's in front of council today that wishes to speak? Come up to the podium and say your name. Yes, you can say something else, sir.
It's just a random question, but it just came to me. So because if we ended up having to pay like the $20,000 per stall, does this mean that myself, like that Phantom Holding, is going to end up having like entitled 3 parking spots somewhere in the city? Because like literally it's what the city's been, like the money that is being used to build this is coming from like literally from our business. Is this something that is gonna kind of be the case?
We'll answer your question.
Your worship, the funds that are collected are deposited to the credit of a reserve fund dedicated exclusively for the provision of off-street parking. So at some time in the future, the city will decide when there's sufficient funds to site to acquire properties for public parking, and then it'll be available for anyone to use. There'd be no specific allocation saying there's these 3 spots and they're for Tantrum. No, you're providing to the common pool of parking.
Thank you. I'm going to close off discussion now and ready for the question. All in favor? Carries.
Yeah, I think it's actually the next one. I also have a more quick one.
From the mayor first.
Okay, so we're on item 6. I got a couple of announcements. One is tonight is the Smart Cities Challenge and how we can incorporate technology into helping with our community, and looking forward to participating in that. This weekend is the Snowbike National competition out at the Revy Riders, and I know it's all day Saturday. I'm not sure if it's on Sunday as well, but great to see. And I was away when the announcement for the $5 million grant for the roundabout came in, and I want to thank and congratulate staff for all those that were involved. They're all the hard work of seeing that. It's going to fix something that I know the community has been concerned about for a long time, and looking forward to that project moving forward. The next item is the delegations and presentations, and Aaron?
I do have a conflict due to business relationship.
And I would like to welcome Chamber of Commerce, Jana Thompson, and I'm not sure, you're doing the presentation, Jana?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. You have the floor.
Well, good afternoon, Your Worship and Council. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Janet Thompson, Executive Director of the Revelstoke Chamber of Commerce. We're just going to do a highlight from our chamber, Tourism Revelstoke, as well as our visitor center. So with me, I have Nick, Manager, Sarah Peterson, our Tourism Marketing Manager for Tourism Revelstoke, and Megan Tabor, the Marketing Manager with the Revelstoke Accommodation Association.
It's like a gang you have behind you. Like,
Girl gang, look out. Yeah. You should be. You should be.
And threats, too.
It's off to a good start.
Give them whatever they want.
Okay. So we'll keep it brief. We know we only have a few short minutes with you guys. Just to highlight on the chamber for this past year, we're actually sitting right now at 343 chamber members. Continuing to raise the profile of the Revelstoke business community to foster a vibrant business community, support community groups and organizations. One of the main highlights from our past year was developing a strategic plan with our board of directors. So it's a 3-year plan where we highlight our focus as advocacy, member engagement, business community relations. So advocacy is one of the big stepping points that we've stepped forward in 2018, and that's at a municipal and provincial level, representing community groups and our business community. This is one of those things, we're the source that can kind of power through it and represent them and build those relationships. So a few things that we've worked on locally is the BC short-term, with the Chamber, the short-term rental policy, the Family Day weekend, the change of it. Obviously, we opposed it as a Revelstoke community tourism base. You win some, you lose some. The foreign workers programs, and just any gaps in visitor service by our community. Here's a quick one on our budget. We are short of time, but please feel free to read through the presentation and email me directly if you have any questions following these. I'll just skip through that one. And I'll let Dylan take the floor.
So I'll just do a brief overview on tourism marketing initiatives. So this is our 2017 MRDT revenues. We did get our December numbers in recently, and they were over $65,000. So that brings us to around $709,000 in funding for 2017, which is a 17.5% increase over 2016. So thank you for continuing to support that MRDT program, and we will show you a few initiatives that we've been doing with that money that are solely reliant on that income source. So we have developed a 5-year strategic plan as well. We renewed our MRDT for 2018, and we had to develop some target markets. So geographically, we'll be targeting BC and Alberta as a primary market, and we'll be working with some of our partners, such as Revelstoke Mountain Resort, to target some of our secondary markets. Europe is also going to be a large target for us for our summer traffic. We've switched up our demographics slightly. We've been really highly focused on the millennial demographic, and now we are pursuing more active families and what we call the Zoomers, so active baby boomers. These are 2 markets that Destination BC is also recognizing, and we'll be partnering with them on different initiatives. So these are the key sectors that we'll be targeting as well, looking at bolstering our shoulder season traffic as well as compressing our summer and winter traffic. We do a lot with media relations. We try to bring some media writers in town and different producers and freelancers. We attend Go Media Marketplace as well as Canada Media Marketplace, where we meet with various media writers and host them here in Revelstoke. Mountain Travel Symposium we attended as well in 2017 to attract ski groups coming to our community. And this is just a small result of some of those efforts.
Oh, hi. Yeah, so getting into digital marketing, we help sponsor several external videos and also produce our own internal videos. And when it comes to external ones, we're helping out some videographers come here by giving them funds for their movies and also to accommodations as well. Oh yeah, what was gonna, yeah. We have a video for you, but you can't watch it. You can watch it on our Facebook page. Okay, there we go. So where are we? Yeah, so we use these local social media influencers to continue to promote Revelstoke through their channels and write blogs for us. New this year, we have Greg Hill and his family on board as Eco-Conscious Adventure Family. We are maintaining a steady increase in following and engagement rates. RAW is also funding a social media coordinator to ensure that we are engaging with visitors pre-trip and in destination and post-trip, which has been extremely valuable. Yeah, we are continually updating our website to keep content fresh and relevant to visitors and like ensure a pleasant user experience as well, and really working on our mobile site, which is constantly improving, just depending on how users are interacting with it. Yes, and we are also continuing to see an increase in visits to our website, as you can see there. Yeah, and then we produce these guides in-house as well as the Revelstoke City Map, which isn't featured there, and they're used throughout the entire community. The Visitor Experience Guide and the Hiking Map probably being our most popular. What else do we have here? Event support. So between RAW and the Chamber, we supported all of these events that you see here, some of which are really favorable amongst locals, but a lot that draw in a lot of out-of-town visitors as well. And consumer shows, these are the ones that we went to in 2017 and partnered with those businesses there on our booth. And transportation.
So yeah, so for transportation, the MRDT also supported our local ski shuttle. We saw over 50,000 riders, as well as the new flight service, which kicked off in 2017 and was very successful with 85% capacity on each flight. We had 5 diversions in 2017. I'm sure there'll be a slightly different story at our next year's presentation, but this year, in 2017, we had a lot of successful landings. And finally, these are kind of all of our teammates in the whole Revelstoke tourism picture. And I really wanted to draw your attention to the amount of support that the MRDT offers all of these, and many of them being nonprofits who wouldn't be able to do everything they do without the support of the MRDT. So I did send a letter yesterday in preparation for this meeting. And I really just want to reiterate how important that source of funding is for our community in view of the recent government regulations that will potentially allow for that source of funding to be used for affordable housing. It's a tough battle to fight because we understand how important affordable housing is, but we don't believe that should be on the backs of tourism. Everybody needs affordable housing, and it's It's a really important revenue stream for us, and I know you guys see that. So I'm really lobbying you guys today to write to our finance minister to keep the MRDT for its intended purpose for tourism marketing initiatives and to support all of the great community initiatives as well.
So, yes, again, also with, as Jana had said, this is just a brief overview of the money that I received from the city and what we put it into. So brochures and distribution, together our visitor guide out there, print and digital media marketing, trade shows and going to tourism conferences and media hosting, and then as well as event support that we went over, and then visitor center funding as well. Which brings me,
So the highlights of the visitor center in 2017. So it's actually been a really good year. We've won some battles. We were able to be open 7 days a week, year-round, since December 2016. That was due to an increase in retail revenue, but also we've received more federal grants and lots of help from RAW and the MRDT. As the manager, I was also able to spend more time educating some staff around town, for example, at RMR and Parks Canada, on how important it is to give good quality services to our visitors. I was also able to advocate for some of the major issues that we've been facing for visitors. As you know, the sanitation and the winter camping have been our two biggest ones in the past year. We also had a great partnership in the last year with Parks Canada. They sent a student 3 days a week to help at the front desk for all last summer for Canada 150. That was a really good success. We had fresh information from the park, and it was pretty good. We want to thank them. Quickly, the statistics. So I won't spend too much time, but this year was a bit different than the other years. We usually increase mainly in the summer months. Our increase was on the shoulder months and winter months this year. Obviously, we were impacted by the wildfires, but it still shows a considerable increase from 7% to 92% in the shoulder months. So I'll go quick on this. You can just see the curve. It's pretty steady increase every month, but you can see the jumps in the shoulder months on that one really well. Quickly, we've seen over 57,000 people in 2017. That's an average of 19 people an hour that we talked to. There's 67% people that stayed one night or more in town. And we've seen an increase in demand for park, obviously, for the Canada 150 as well. So we still have challenges. But things are getting better. We've got more funding for our students, and we are still working on sustainability. We didn't win the battle because the grant-based funding is still our #1 challenge. 2017 was marked with the wildfires. It was quite difficult for us, with less people coming, but also for staff, it was quite difficult to keep their positivity. So they did a really great job. I want to thank them all. 2018, we're hoping that our mobile ambassador program will get back on track. We had to drop that last year due to lack of funding, but we were also able to be open 7 days a week. And finally, we were just successful with a tech grant application through CBD, so we're going to be updating some of our technology at the visitor center.
Yes, in conclusion, I'd just like to thank you all for your time. Just to stress the importance when you see the numbers of the Visitor Center to share with your colleagues in the business community. We are frontline ambassadors for Revelstoke. We hear what people are looking for. We hear what they want. It's very vital that the business community communicates back to us because we are a small team, so anything new that's happening in Revelstoke, you should let us know because we're happy to share it and send folks to the right sources. In addition to that, we did see a gap in communication with a concise community events calendar, so we found it successful to embed one community calendar that we're sharing with everybody. We kind of share every event from basic, knitting circle to big scale events that Revelstoke is having, so whether you live in also, for your busy, you can look ahead of time, check out your calendar, see what's going on in the tab. A lot of our accommodators have been online, so they've as well embedded the calendar on their site. If any group has a Facebook event, and we usually upload it as long as we're aware of it. So we find a lot of value with that. We're getting great feedback, and we would like you to as well to spread the word on that calendar so we can be kind of a good source and it's all free to the community, and business members can embed it on their site as well. So thanks again for your time. Is there any questions for our team while you have us here?
Question, Councilor Nixon?
Just a comment, kudos on being open. We've for over the last several years, and it's nice to see it coming to fruition.
Councilor Brothers.
Just thank you, because I know you're doing great work, and it's, you really are an important part of the success of this city, especially all the tourists coming to the city. And I just wanted to also point out, I really appreciate the fact that you cooperate and collaborate with the economic development part of our city, and as well Community Futures, because you end up being a real team, which I think the rest of the province looks at you as a group and says, wow, we'd like to do the same thing and be as successful as you are. So appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Jan, and thanks to your team. I just want to reiterate that we understand around this table the importance of the MRDT tax and where it goes, and it's nice to see all the things that it supports in these presentations. Anyway, I think, speaking for myself, I understand where that goes, and I can echo it.
Yeah, for sure, and I absolutely have faith in you guys, but we don't know who's going to be at the table 4 years down the road or 7 years down the road, so something that we really need to get emphasized.
Absolutely.
Since we're on the MRDT, I think we should be taking a wait and see attitude of what they're planning and asking to be part of a consultation process. We do recognize the importance of MRDT, but they could be saying that it's just the new Airbnb MRDT that's affordable housing. Not that I don't think that it's going to be a huge deal, but I think we especially recognize the importance of what's happening with the Resort Municipality and all the great things that are doing. So I don't want to see any wholesale changes to what's been so successful, but I think what I would be asking council to do is just be part of the consultation and let us know what they're talking about before they actually implement it, so that we have our say and protect all the great things that have been done and are going to be done in the future with continuation of MRDT. But I want to thank Janet, great presentation. It's pretty obvious the role of the chamber, how it's expanded over the years with the changes in the community, and the chamber and the directors and all the staff are rising to the occasion and representing Revelstoke in a great light and looking after the people that want to be here. And I know you guys glossed over the sandy dump, but there will be a sandy dump going in this year. And so anyways, but thanks again, and looking forward to seeing more great things with the Chamber of Commerce. Wheeler, Councillor in? Okay, we are on item 11A, economic development.
I'll bring forward that, Your Worship, that the Housing Needs and Demands Assessment Report from the Director of Community Economic Development dated March 5, 2018 be received for information.
Motion by Councillor Brother, seconded by Councillor Orlando. Discussion, comments? Nice to see this thing moving forward. All those in favor? Motion carried. And item B, finance.
Your Worship, I'll bring forward that the amendment to the 2018-2022 financial plan timeline, as written in the council report dated February 28, 2018, by the Director of Finance be approved.
Motion by Councillor Nixon, seconded by Councillor English. Discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Motion carried. And moving into correspondence, the first item is a letter from Mr. Maltby regarding snow clearing. Anybody wish to take any action on that? I'm assuming that this has been paraded around by staff, and if there's opportunities for us to look at, yes, Darcy. I would rather that if you had a comment or question about snow removal or anything else, that you put it in writing to staff so that we can see what that you want to talk about, what we should look at.
It was a yes/no question. May I speak or not?
Absolutely. Go ahead and ask your question.
Is it my turn to adjust the microphone? Or should I wait?
You can just do it right from there if it's a yes or no answer.
It's not. When it's my turn to speak, I'll wait.
Okay.
For you to finish.
All right. Okay, let me finish what I'm doing then. So the comment that I have is that this staff has looked at this, and if there's opportunities to look at this signage to do a better job, then I'm assuming that staff would be taking that into consideration. And if there's any other implications in this this letter that staff should be looking into, then I would assume that's being done. Councilor Brothers.
I'd just like to reiterate what I think is the importance of finding a place for a place for camping and RVs in the wintertime. I think that's really necessary. This problem is not going to go away. It's just getting worse and worse. And we as a city, I know it's gone to staff, but I'm just reiterating, you know, I'm looking forward to the report from staff because I think we really need to find a solution to this issue.
Okay.
Yeah, just put it for you. It's not a problem, I don't think. I think it's an opportunity that all these RVs are coming to town now and that they're looking for a place to park. And I know that we're working on that and putting the handgun thing. But I'm happy to see them rolling around, to be honest, and they're here during the winter time.
Well, there is a report coming, and I'm just concerned about the city getting into things that it shouldn't be getting into. Anyways, I see no hands up on any other action that want to be done regarding this letter from Mr. Maltby. Okay. We have a letter from Mr. Wilson regarding pesticide use. Councillor Nixon.
Your Worship, can we refer this to the Environmental Committee of Council, please?
Listing. I think it's Environmental Coordinator.
Yes, she attends their meetings as well. And if it could go to their next meeting, their meeting this week.
Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor English. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor? Motion carried. Darcy, you have a question?
Did I get a chance to call?
Yes. Now is your opportunity.
I excuse myself. Fire marshal called call on me because I'm addressing city council and I find that to be a form of bullying, sir, and I don't appreciate it.
Darcy, you asked to talk to council.
I'm just saying why I was late and I've stepped out of the room. I tried to address the issue of snow removal with City Council early Monday morning. I come in and I was told by your secretary that you're no longer interested in talking to me. And
I think that you're
I phoned the
interpreting things a
cops.
different way.
I phoned the cops, and well, I didn't phone them. I talked to the cops, and I have a problem with the 102 putting snow onto my land, and there's no way I can address it because when somebody drove on her driveway, she called the cops and said that guy's criminal harassing me. So I can't contact her anymore, even though she wanted to go into business with me when I suggested she should get her business vacation rental property. So she's high and low emotional. She's using the cops to bully me, similar to what the firefighter is doing today. I talk about snow removal because it's a serious issue. I live on 4th Street. I had to go without insurance for almost 6 weeks this year because the insurance company bullied me. I had a claim. I took someone off the streets. He needed a place to stay. I let him reside in my place, no charge. I put my business aside. His needs were more important. Now we're talking about snow removal. I had snow removal. I had the city come to my property as I'm working on art, as I'm trying to promote myself. And I'm working on an album cover for the Trash Kids. They told me to introduce myself. And as I'm doing it, someone come in my property on Monday morning, and I have it all here, and I wanted to talk to you Monday morning, and they come and they cleared snow onto my land. When there's all these other problem areas and people are picking on me and they're bullying me. And what the fire marshal did when I'm saying, hey, I want 4th Street to take it more serious. Because when you're spending time, and whatever he's doing on Monday morning, he's coming to my property and he's removing snow removal, he could be using that to look at the more serious issue of what's going on 4th Street. Because while we have snow removal between 9 and 12, there's still vehicles being parked on the road, and there's not a sufficient plan by the city to deal with it.
So you asked if there was going to be, you were going to ask a question with a yes or no answer, and this is exactly what I was trying to avoid, is that I would suggest that you put down in writing what your concerns are, just like these other people have done.
I came into your office Monday morning wanting to do that.
You
I was
put it down in
told
writing
not
me,
to.
And I will have forwarded to staff to look at all of your concerns.
Yeah, like,
So-
Mark, I've been begging in here for 2 years to talk about vacation rental. I've asked you to reach out to me. I've come into your office. I've been told by your
I've met with
secretary.
you several times, Darcy.
Yes, and you haven't resolved the vacation rental industry. What you're doing is illegal because you're creating a monopoly. Everybody in town should be able to do a vacation rental, and everybody should be dealt with snow removal in the same way. And this should be open to the public, and as I come up here, I get the fire marshal. When I live on 4th Street, snow removal between 9 and 12, and there's at least 20 vehicles parked every time between 9 and 12 during snow removal, and it's a serious threat. I don't have insurance on my home. I have anxiety. I don't sleep at night. This is snow removal. What are you going to do if we have a serious snowstorm? We have a serious
We have
snowstorm,
that serious
and they have to get out on 4th Street, and there's 40
Darcy,
vehicles parked
Darcy,
there. What are you going to do about that?
Okay, Darcy, I think that I've indulged you enough for today.
Okay,
So-
you've indulged me enough for today.
Yes.
I will look forward to writing you an email. I will forward the fire marshal on it. I will forward the police on it, and I'll use it as another example of why I'm being bullied out of town. I've come to the meeting and I've tried to be as polite and professional, and why the cop had to show up here, I don't understand, and I'll ask for an explanation. Thank you for your time, and I'll sit patiently quiet here.
Darcy, come back to me outside, please. Darcy, I will. Okay, grab your stuff.
Okay, so we're into communications, and the first item is, does anybody have anything they'd like to bring up on the Economic Development Commission minutes of February the 7th? Of the Social Development Committee minutes of January 24th? Tech Steering Committee minutes of January the 30th? Any questions from media?
No, Mark, I'm good. For Mayor, no thanks.
Looking for a motion to move in camera pursuant to section 90.1 A-D-K of the Community Charter. Councilor Brothers, Councilor English, all in favor, motion's carried. Let's take a 3 or 4